The Courage to Remain by Stacey Barkley. Therefore, my dear brothers, be steadfast, immovable, always excelling in the Lord's work, knowing that your labor in the Lord is not in vain. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 58. I sat at the dining room table, listening as my brother and sister made their case. She needs more care than you can give, my brother said. A nursing home would be safer. My sister nodded. And you can't keep doing this alone. It's too much. I knew they weren't wrong. Caring for Mom had grown harder with long nights, constant attention, and the slow ache of watching someone you love fade in small ways. There were moments I felt stretched thin when the thought of handing it over to someone else felt like relief within reach. But as they talked, something in me settled. It's not just about what's easier, I said. I believe I'm supposed to keep her at home. The room grew quiet. We didn't argue much after that, but we didn't agree either. In the days that followed, the responsibility still rested mostly on my shoulders. It wasn't an easy choice, but it was a clear one. We often imagine valor as something bold and visible, the kind of courage that draws attention. Yet Scripture points us toward a quieter strength, the kind that endures. Be alert, stand firm in the faith, act like a man, be strong. 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verse 13. Standing firm rarely feels dramatic. More often, it looks like continuing in what God has asked of you, even when the weight of it becomes evident. Valor is not always found in making a big move, but instead, it is refusing to walk away when staying requires more of you. I didn't want my decision to earn recognition. There are no applause-worthy moments in managing medications, adjusting schedules, or sitting through long evenings. Yet I wanted my choice to reflect something deeper than convenience. I wanted it to honor God. Honoring God values what God has entrusted to you, even when others don't fully understand it. We can see this in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 58. Therefore, my dear brothers, be steadfast, immovable, always excelling in the Lord's work, knowing that your labor in the Lord is not in vain. There is a quiet assurance in knowing that faithfulness is never wasted. Even when the work feels repetitive or unseen, God sees it all. He measures differently than the world does. That does not mean every situation calls for the same response. Wisdom matters. There are times when help is necessary, and seeking it is not a failure of faith. But there are also moments when God calls us to remain, to carry something difficult for a season, and to trust Him within it. Jesus reminds us that endurance carries weight in the kingdom, but the one who endures to the end will be delivered. Matthew chapter 24, verse 13. Endurance is not glamorous, but it is powerful. It shapes our character, deepens our trust, and honors God in ways that often go unnoticed by others. Sometimes, the greatest act of valor is not stepping out into something new, but staying faithful in what God has already placed before you. Where am I being tempted to choose what is easier over what is right? Has God asked me to remain faithful in something difficult? What would it look like to honor Him in that space today?